Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages, suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. Before we dive into the new titles released this week, let's talk about our exclusive discount available to you on our social media channels at Splinterverse everywhere. And that is Biscuit Tin RPG's Compendium of the Absurd, which is for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and we are offering it for a limited time at 27% off. It's on sale as part of the GM's Day sale that's going on, I think, through the rest of this weekend for almost all titles, but this exclusive discount from Splinterverse is even cheaper. So you want to take advantage of it while it lasts, and be sure you're following us on all those social media channels so that you can get those exclusive discounts every single Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So let's take a look at this title. It's got a ton of stuff. It's got a class in it for you with the Abyssal Knight. It's got 3 subclasses, one for Artificer, Ranger, and Warlock, including the Warlock one is called the Horror, which sounds really cool, and the Spycrafter for Artificer. That sounds fun. Then you got 14 new spells, 26 magic items, a whole new race in the Nephilim, some new feats, and of course some new lore. And that's awesome. And then there's some bonus stuff if you get the physical copy as well, because you can get the PDF or you can get the combo where you get the print edition and the PDF as well. So again, these prices are not going to compare to our 27% off that we have for you on our social media channels. So you're going to want to make sure you click the link in the video description where we have that special discount link for you, or visit one of our channels and click it there. Anywhere works as long as you click it. So we've got 5 pages in the preview here out of 48. So it's a 48 pager, pretty good size, especially for the price. And it looks like we've got the optional rules at the beginning with some new weather. And then you get into the new race with the Nephilim, then the class and subclasses, a history of something called the Dietarian. Then you get your new spells, your items, and then some monsters, including an Ash Pixie and Biscuit, the Corrupted, the Symbiote, all kinds of fun stuff in there. And we'll read a little bit of the anti-magic fog here for you, and maybe a little bit about the Nephilim. So we've got some new weather options, and the anti-magic fog says a seemingly ordinary fog that has a pale purple energy crackling through it. Nobody truly knows what causes, or potentially what might have caused it in the first place, but those that study the arcane warn others of their ilk, that one should tread lightly if they find themselves in such a fog, as it has a habit of dulling the arcane while it persists. So it lasts for 1d12 hours. There's a 50% chance of any magic cast from it or into it instantly dissipating and fading into nothing, creating a shower of crackling green sparks. Magic items' power slowly fades over the course of an hour of being inside the fog. At the 1 hour mark, they function as non-magical items. The magic returns to the items after 24 hours outside the area. Artifacts last a total of 1d4 hours before suffering the same effects. So cool way to reduce magic capability. Maybe you have a particular dungeon or adventure or one shot or whatever where you need to minimize the power of your party. And you can have a narrative way of doing that with this anti-magic fog, as opposed to just saying, oh, it's not working today, which probably won't fly with your party. So if you say, oh, there's this strange fog, I mean, it looks like fog, but there's something different about it. It's got this pale purple energy that's crackling through it, right? So it gives you a really fun way to have an excuse to lessen some powers. And maybe there's other story opportunities, like maybe, somebody's controlling this fog, and so the party has to stop that. Or maybe the party's trying to harness the power of this fog to weaken a very powerful enemy. I mean, lots and lots of ways to go, even just chasing down the origin of, who created this fog, how did it come about, or whatever, right? Storm chasers, fog chasers, I should say. So then let's take a look at the Nephilim. So it says, an unfortunate truth, born with unlimited potential and gifts of both light and darkness, the Nephilim are both feared and admired. They are almost certainly to be found adventuring, as it is in their nature to always want to learn more, usually about their lineage, as in some, if not most cases, they may never know their parents. The lore behind the Nephilim is a bit shaky, and that's probably on purpose, due to the fact that their very existence is seen as an act of blasphemy by both sides of the gates. The truth is, in fact, that a Nephilim is the product of either magical experimentation or consensual relations between the biggest set of warring forces in the universes. That's right. Angels and demons have offspring together. So yeah, that's a nice, interesting sort of dilemma between the two warring factions there, creating a whole race. So you've got some of your abilities here. You can see limited precognition. While sleeping, you have visions of those that mean you harm. You have advantage on perception checks to check for hostile creatures. And then there's some sub races that aren't shown in the preview, but looks like some fun stuff. And there's called shots here. There's something called a fracture storm that you can come read if you click the link. All kinds of good stuff for a good price, especially through that exclusive Splinterverse discount. And like I said, you want to make sure you're following us somewhere, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, to make sure you get access to those every week, because you're not going to find these discounts elsewhere. They're exclusive to Splinterverse. So we want to make sure you take advantage of that. All right, let's go on to our first new release. We've got Book of Notices from Architects of the Deep. It's on sale for $9.99, normally $12.99. It's 105 pages. It's for any system, so it's system agnostic, but it works great for Dungeons and Dragons. And remember, right now, the GM's Day sale is going on through the 13th, so you want to make sure if there's anything on your wish list, anything you want to purchase, that you're clicking through the links and making those purchases before that sale goes away. It's the biggest sale of the year for both DriveThruRPG and DM's Guild, so you want to take advantage before it's gone. So it says every tavern in every town should have some kind of job board inside, postings the locals use to get help with various projects or hiring some muscle for protection. And so this notice board has various jobs, tasks, mysteries, bounties, and items that you can use to create side quests for your players to take on and possibly earn some extra gold. There's 350 notice board posts within this book that you can put in your next campaign or use, every once in a while for an existing campaign, whatever works here. But there's a number of different ways that you can pick from the notice board notices in this book, including you can pick a random page or roll for it, or show only that page to your players as if they're looking at a notice board and let them pick one of the ones on that page. You can pick a couple of notices and create side quests specific to those, or you can peruse multiple pages with your players and find one that strikes your fancy. I think this is going to be especially good for DMs that like to improvise and not have everything prepped, and it's great for those that want to be prepped because they can take the book and pick out a page of certain notices and actually prepare those and then have the party pick from amongst those. So yeah, it goes through the kind of the rules again here, but you can see two of the pages worth of notice boards, and I always like to go with the earliest ones because I assume creators put their best stuff first for reviewers, etc., to look at. So let's look at some of these ones here. So this is Wanted Book Thief. A bandit has made off with several rare texts from our library. Reward for their return. So yeah, that could go a lot of different ways. You could have some reason these books are going missing. Maybe somebody's desperate to solve a problem. They've got, somebody in their family is sick, and so they're basically stealing these rare texts because they believe these rare texts are going to help cure the person in some way, maybe alchemy or something like that. Maybe somebody's trying to hide the existence of something that is documented in these books. Maybe somebody's trying to sell these books. So I just give you 3 different kind of hooks that you can use based on this hook, which would be posted on the notice board. And it's cool how it looks, right? Because it looks like it's a real notice board that the players could see, if they were really these characters. So then we'll read another one. It says, help needed, Goblin Warlord wreaking havoc west of town, reward for proof of death, see Captain of the Guard. So yeah, that's straightforward. Some Goblin Warlords going nuts on the side of town, attacking people, presumably, or stealing things, and you're getting a reward for proof of death. But what if this goblin is not actually bad? What if it's a misunderstanding? What if this goblin warlord is actually being framed for this because somebody else is actually doing it, and they're trying to make it seem like through polymorph or some other thing that this poor goblin is up to no good. Now, it could be a goblin. I'm just saying not everything is as it seems, especially in Dungeons and Dragons. So with this book, these little post-its can be used to sort of trigger some ideas in your mind and in the players' minds, because the players are going to read this and they're going to presume things as well, right? So they're going to, oh, there's a goblin warlord. That's the bad person. Well, it's great when we can make people think twice. It surprises them, right? So we just read 2 and we came up with a bunch of ideas. I mean, I guess we should come up with another goblin warlord idea. So maybe the goblin warlord is testing the area, trying to see what the defenses are like. Maybe the goblin warlord is just some sort of emissary or the reconnaissance for some bigger threat. And so this just leads to a much bigger conflict. So you have a lot of options, right? And we just gave you a bunch of them. Feel free to use any of the ones that we say on this show, because that's one of the reasons we do it, is to bring this fun stuff to you. So totally like this. I think notice boards are fun. I've seen other notice board books like this, and I always enjoy them. I think they're really cool. They get the wheels turning in my brain, so hopefully they do that for you too. And so that you can enjoy all the other ones in this 105-page book, look in the links below in the video description under Book of Notices and give it a click. Next, we've got Carovea Victor, demo booklet from Roleplay Elixir. It's free to get this, and it's 160 pages. And it says it's the demo booklet for Carovea Victor, a Roman Empire themed source book for 5th edition. You can get it free and see some of the content. It offers 10 human ethnicities, which is basically races, 5 new archetypes, and a new class from the full book. It says it's basically a source book for 5th edition, which offers you means to tell stories and play games in a world inspired by the Roman Empire era. In Carovea Victor, we tell you about the realms of Armir, an epic fantasy sword and sorcery setting which has huge similarities to the Greco-Roman world and the Carovean Empire, a great power dominating large portions of the known realms, just like the Roman Empire did. In this world, legionnaires of Carovean Empire march to the battle against numerous enemies on all sides. They defend the vast borders of the empire against barbarians and conquer new territories, fighting under the proud dragon banner of their legions. Gladiators salute the emperor and people in the arena before the games begin. The crowd cheers in fascination as the gladius cuts wounds on their opponent and blood scatters on the sands of the arena. Shrewd senators and corrupted patricians make secret plans behind the pillars of the Senate, arguing how to influence the emperor, and if they can't, how to remove him from the throne. So very Greco-Roman themes, classic stuff, the betrayal of Caesar and other things you can see at work in here, which is great. But sounds like there's lots of other stuff in Carovea Victor, the full book, including additional classes, factions, armor, weapons, all sorts of stuff. I was thinking when I saw this that maybe it was like part of a live Kickstarter, but as near as I can tell, it's a Kickstarter that's already finished, so maybe the full book is coming soon. I don't know, but I couldn't resist that price point. I mean, you can't even, this isn't even pay what you want where you can pay. It's just literally $0. So I grabbed it. Haven't had a chance to look through it, but I love the cover. I love Greco-Roman stuff. Anything ancient world of Earth I really enjoy. So I'm excited to get to look at it further, but I had to let you know so that you could get a copy for free. And if you click that link in the video description under Carovea Victor, it'll take you straight to the page for that. But let's take a look inside a little bit. So you get to see 15 of those 160 pages. So you can see they've got the race options, and then they've got archetypes, a bunch of those, classes, and then the realms of the armor, and then the empire itself. Factions, armory, monsters, pretty much everything you need to get Greco-Roman in your campaign. So here's some intro text about the various empires and beautiful artwork, and then you get into the new races. So we'll read maybe a little bit about some of those in a moment, and then you've got various humans to look at, and I like how they've illustrated pretty much all of them, so that's nice. Lots of different groups of people, which is helpful. So let's see if we can read about the Gutterkin. I saw that. I thought that was an interesting name. Maybe the Half-Bloods. Okay. Gutterkin, beneath the large cities of Armir, great sewer networks are home to these rat-like humanoids called the Gutterkin. In the past, they had dwelt near the swamps, and after the Great War between the elves and dwarves destroyed many cities, the Gutterkin infested the sewers of these ghost towns, never to be removed again. Soon they multiplied their numbers, and now the tunnels under large cities host an unknown number of these folk. They are aggressively banished from quarters of the elite class, but Gutterkin thugs, pickpockets, and beggars are a very common sight in all poor districts. So you got kind of an interesting dynamic there. These sort of rat folk are doing things in the sewers and being ostracized, but also getting involved in crime. So interesting. And then you've got half-bloods, also called dragonborn or draconian in some parts of the realms. Half-bloods, as dragons call them, are most numerous in the Dragon Empire, where they serve the drakes of the royal family as officers, lieutenants, and elite soldiers. However, half-bloods are also encountered in many other parts of the realms, especially the ones who belong to houses that fall out of favor of the dragon emperors. They seek their fortune elsewhere and set up life for themselves in the human lands. Half-bloods are skilled in many fields, not just war, and there are some great mages and diplomats that hail among them. So I like how they're taking some of these classic races of Dungeons and Dragons and weaving them into this Greco-Roman setting, because you do have to kind of justify the existence of all these different types of creatures. And yeah, I like all the artwork. I think it's a really cool concept, and I'm excited that you can get so many pages for free. So look for it in the video description links under Carovea Victor and give it a click. Next we have Cavern Creeps paper miniatures from Trash Mob Minis, and it's only $2.25 for 2 pages of miniatures. And it says, lurking under the surface are the Cavern Creeps. This set of subterranean menaces will make sure your players are afraid of the dark. Cavern Creeps contains paper minis of Anothic, Grimlock, Quaggoth, Blindheim, Antlion, and Tentacle Creeper. They're printable paper miniatures. They have a front and back. They include bases, a color and black and white line art option, and instructions. And they're 25 to 30 millimeter scale. And they look so cool. Look at all of these. You've got the Nothic and all the other ones that were mentioned. And they're just really fun. I think it's cool to see this and see how you can basically print these and create miniatures. Some people don't have all the existing miniatures, that are pre-painted and all this stuff, and maybe they need miniatures quickly, or they want ones that can fold flat, or that they can recreate or make multiples of easily. They don't have a 3D printer. All that, there's a lot of reasons to get this. These are really cool art style as well. I think we've covered some Trash Mob Minis stuff before, and I always like the art style. And I think it's always well done. Great poses, very dynamic looking, and great price too. $225. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. So if you're in the market for some minis, give it a click. It's in the video description links under Cavern Creeps. Check it out. Next, we've got Comets and Cockpits, Geographica Adelphos for 5th edition from Daylight Publications, $25 for 283 pages. Lots of authors involved. It says, there's Junker Space Fantasy, and so this page talks about like what's the difference between Junker and Space Fantasy and all of that stuff. So, the post-apocalyptic settings often have kind of a Junker element because, there's things that are rusted and people building things and making things. And then, space fantasy is, mythic quests and young people traveling and going on a hero's journey and all that stuff involving a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of space, right? And so you've got some in-character writing here as well as some great artwork, all kinds of species, and then you've got a bunch of worlds because, again, this is going to take you into the space fantasy area. So you're going to be traveling through space, presumably, to get to these different worlds. And looking inside, you get to see 50 of those 283 pages, so that's a really healthy preview. So again, it goes through what Junker Space Fantasy is, and then you got some in-character text, as well as this table of contents here. So you got your species background, subclasses, and a class, as well as new speeds and spells, mounts, magic items, a gazetteer. I mean, pretty much everything you need to get going and have a new campaign. And it looks like the new class is called the Conduit. So that sounds like a cool name for a class. It says player species and backgrounds of original species. The Odontos, really cool looking, almost like a dolphin or a whale character. And then you've got the Solum, the Simbast, just lots of fun stuff here. So I'm just going to scroll through so you can kind of get a quick look at all the beautiful artwork and nice layout of this book. Just tons of stuff. So let's see what's this. Chapter 2, original subclass and class. So yeah, maybe we'll get to see a little bit of that conduit in here. We'll see if it goes that far. It may only go through part of it. Yeah, so the conduit's not in here. But you still get to see a lot of the subclasses. Ranger Space Stalker, Ranger Verdant Wayfinder, Paladin Oath of Reclamation, Druid Circle of Spark. So these all sound kind of fun. And then up here you've got a Xenobotanist, Space Pirate. So these must be some kind of like backgrounds almost. Looks like Excavator, Depth Diver. Yeah, so let's scroll back up and see if we can read a little bit about one of the new races. I like that dolphin one, so maybe we'll start with that one. So it says Odontos. Known as a practical and exploratory species, Odontos are squat, whale-like creatures with large eyes and bulging foreheads. They were one of the first modern species to reach out to the stars and have since become a reliable sight wherever machines are made or spark is accessed. Their independence and magical senses make them valued allies. And yeah, they're a distant relative of whales. And so in terms of their traits, they've got a diagnostic pulse. You can use your action to send a pulse through a huge or smaller object or an area of material up to 15 foot square that you can touch with your forehead. You learn its basic physical properties. Yeah, it gives you an example. And then you've got sensory magic accustomed to low visibility conditions. You have an innate magical sense of your surroundings. You have blind sight. And inexpressive features. Creatures have disadvantage on insight checks against you. So that's a good idea for a trait. So yeah, lots of fun stuff going on. All kinds of races and backgrounds and classes and subclasses. I mean, it's just filled with stuff. And I'm sure some of it you could adapt to be not for space. because it is all 5th edition, which I really appreciate. So it's compatible with, you know, the core Wizards of the Coast material in terms of edition. So very cool. Check it out in the video link descriptions under Comets and Cockpits. Give it a click. Next, we've got Dungeon Vault Magazine, issue 19, with a bunch of authors, but it's from Elven Tower, $5.95 on sale, 45 pages. And it's got a, you know, compilation of adventures, lore, cartography, and useful digital goodies as usual. So, you know, this is part of an ongoing series. You get dungeons with maps and even some isometric stuff, and 9 original adventures, 4 articles, and you get a print-friendly version, EPUB version, both high-res and Roll20 versions of the maps. So that's really helpful. You can see all the nice little layouts, and always they're very generous with their flavor text, which I appreciate. You know, they tend to give flavor text for all the name locations, number of locations, so that you have something. So you get to see 20 of the 45 pages in the preview, so you can see all the different adventures here. So there's the first one is called Trial of the Dragons, with a nice map there, and the Mausoleum of Regrets. Yeah, multiple different. I like this winery map, that looks cool. The Woman in the Crone. So let's read about that one because it has an isometric map, and I love isometric maps. So it says, clever demons can turn into beautiful people. All they encounter are deceived by their appearance. Mighty adult dragons can polymorph into smaller creatures. One cannot know with certainty if a toad at the city castle is secretly a person. We cannot believe all we see. So that's sort of the premise or theme of this adventure. That sounds interesting. It says, adventure hook. More and more people go missing each night at Grimilton. A strange force draws them to the depths of the forest. Strong flesh abominations fight whoever tries to stop the people who cross the wood's edge. Grimilton's villagers are helpless. The city authorities offer 2,500 GP to a group of heroes willing to delve into the forest depths and solve the problem at its root. And then there's this Crone's Lair here, which I love. Again, I love isometric, so very cool. And let's see if we can find a flavor text to read for you. So, Guardians of the Cell, 2 massive malformed humanoids of stitched flesh stand with their fist closed as if waiting for instructions. People within the cell weep before them. So, definitely sets the mood. And that's just one of a bunch of adventures. There's 9 in here. And $5.95 to get 9 adventures. It seems pretty good deal, right? All right, so check it out under Dungeon Vault Magazine 19 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got 5th edition fantasy number 18, Horror in Blackwood Forest by Jason Vey and Goodman Games for 5th edition, $6.99, 28 pages. Goodman Games does some great stuff. I've been buying their hardcover books where they're upgrading a lot of the original basic modules to 5th edition, and they're so fun and so well done. And I love the packaging and how they make those. And so I've been treating myself to getting one of those occasionally, and I'm building up my collection of those. And so I'm excited to always see something from them because I do think they do a good job. And I mean, look at the artwork on this. It says, situated on the shores of a major trade route is the town of 𝘏𝙗, a bastion of law and order in an all too often lawless world. Beyond the borders of this walled port town is the vast Blackwood Forest. After a barroom brawl, our heroes are tasked by the Baron of 𝘏𝙗 to rescue his son, Victor, who was mysteriously kidnapped from his room overnight, with no sign of intrusion save a mystical pointer directly pointing at the forest. Now the heroes find themselves facing the machinations of an evil necromancer, his legions of the undead, and fanatical cultists, in a plot to overtake the entire city and spread the influence of the negative energy plane across the entire world. So this is a lot. This is a lot going on, and you need a party to deal with that, right? So looking inside, you get to see 6 of those 28 pages, and they've got a cool little plot map. Those are always helpful, showing you kind of the sequence of various encounters and how you can maybe skip steps too. And then just fun line art as well. Adventure summary, background, Act 1. Arrival in 𝘏𝙗𝙗. Yeah, fun stuff. So you get to read a decent amount here to see what you think of it before you purchase. But it says, the heroes come upon the barony of 𝘏𝙗𝙗, a border fiefdom, or fiefdom, ruled over by the benevolent Baron Wolfgang 𝘏𝙗𝙗 on the border of the cursed Blackwood forest. Not long after arriving in town, the party finds themselves embroiled in a fight with a bunch of thugs. Arranged by the Baron himself, the town guard, tipped off to the situation and waiting nearby, arrive within moments, and the characters are summarily arrested for what seems a misunderstanding. Instead of being taken to prison, they are called before the Baron himself, who wishes to task them with a job. The attack is presented in the Fogwood Inn section below. So, cool little setup. You've got this Baron kind of tricking the party into getting involved in stuff. And, yeah, I mean, you can see that it's going to go, it's going to get real busy from there. And lots of characters that could hang around and locations that could hang around because you've got the Fog and Horn Inn, a general store here, Old Pritchard's Bakery. I mean, this could really be a home base for characters. And this is for level 7 characters. So perfect little tier there for that. And yeah, I think it's fun. I love the art. So check it out under 5th edition Fantasy 18 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Friend or Foe Folio from Grimm Press, on sale right now for $9.99, normally $14. It's 122 pages, already a best silver seller in its first week. And let me tell you, Splinterverse fans, there's a connection to Splinterverse in this book. Those of you who have purchased any of my books have gotten to know the work of the author, Matt Kimberlin, because Matt is a fantastic writer and editor and has worked with me on every book I've done. So, you know, there's lots of monsters and other things that have been written by Matt in my past books, and everything has been edited by Matt. So if you like any of my books, you're going to really enjoy the writing that Matt does in this book, because they are truly talented, and I really think you got to check it out. I mean, each one of these NPCs in this book, because it's really a compendium of awesome NPCs, is so unique. Like, I really haven't seen anything like it, because, of course, since it's my friend working on it, I have purchased it, and I can tell you, I mean, there is just no end of inspiration in the pages of this book, because every single one of these characters is like torn from a movie or a novel. That's how well developed they are. And there's so many different options. And the title, Friend or Folio, means that they can be friends or they can be foes. And a lot of them kind of are in that middle. So you get some gray characters that could be friend or foe or both, right? And so the book has 100 named non-player characters, each with beautiful art, lore, personality traits, and a stat block. And they can be easily dropped in with no preparation. And then there's 200 quest hooks. Those are really fun too. I was reading some of those, and just so fun. Everything's hyperlinked, and you know, it's 122 pages. So you're really going to have you know, a lot here at your fingertips. And the names are all awesome. You know, sometimes you get these compendiums and the names are just really hard to pronounce. They're not interesting. And I feel like Matt did a really good job of making each one of them cohesive. Like, they really go together. The personality traits, the stat blocks, the adventure hooks, the name, the lore, it just all fits. And each one feels like its own thing, instead of like, oh, let's just, you know, cookie cutter all of these, right? They're so distinct. It's really rare to see that when you look at a book that has so many characters, because you just naturally fall into patterns, right? And Matt really avoids that here and goes so deep into each of these characters. And what I also love is, if you look at the interior, we're getting to see 27 of the 122 pages. You can see that there's a diversity of CRs. So you've got that CR1, look at all the ones here. Then as you go up, you get all the way up to 20. So that means you have so many options throughout your campaign. Even if you go 1 to 20, you're going to have various characters that can come and go from the story. And these don't have to be antagonists. They don't have to be people that travel with the party, although they can. They can just be people in the background that you just release a little bit of information about each session. And because there's so much information packed into each and every one of these characters, that's going to be easy to do, because you're going to be able to just drop a little nibble of what's in here, and then do a little more the next time. And then as the characters see this person repeatedly, by the time, 4th or 5th session rolls around, they're going to really know them, because you've kind of breadcrumbed their way to getting to know them. Or maybe you're going to do a one shot and you're going to feature one of these as like the villain or the main ally, or maybe even they seem to be an ally and then they turn into a villain, and you can unleash all of the information in that session. So whichever way you want to go, you've got the options, because Matt has done such a good job making sure that these characters are fleshed out as can be. So we've got Andrea Neidhart here, who's a performer and steals from her audience. And we've got Argos Livemane and Eris Swiftblade, Augustus Firebrand. I mean, all fun names, right? So I'm going to just move forward, because you can come read all of these as well, but I'm going to just try to find a fun one to really dive into with you. So let's look at Dessa Torin here. And it says, Dessa Torin, a defender of the weak. Dessa's parents were ambassadors to a gnomish kingdom. Dessa grew up faster than the children around her, and she had many questions about that fact. Dessa's parents told her that it was a good experience because she could see the physical difference between people. Dessa's parents explained that physical inequality was only one kind of inequality in the world. When Dessa asked what she should do about the inequality in the world, her parents said she should fight for those who can't defend themselves. Long after Dessa's parents passed, Dessa kept their words close to her heart. Dessa travels the realm, doing what she can to right injustices and defend the weak. Dessa always has a special place in her heart for gnomes, but Dessa doesn't consider gnomes weak just because of their size. Dessa's history of righting wrongs has led her to having a sizable footprint. In some circles, Dessa is considered a folk hero. In other circles, they attempt to mitigate the damage that Dessa does to their foothold on the world. So Dessa doesn't care about the laws of the places she travels. Dessa only cares about what she perceives as a right and wrong. Dessa even delights in delivering justice with a smile when Dessa takes those in power down a peg. Dessa sometimes comes off as naive with her strong moral compass, but Dessa is capable of reading people incredibly well. Years of listening to her parents discuss body language and tells during diplomatic negotiations has given Dessa a great insight into behavior. So this is someone who really understands body language, understands poker faces, all that stuff. So you can have a lot of fun with that, because Dessa could basically read the party and maybe surprise them with what she can discern from them. And if she's traveling with them, she's going to have an opinion as to what they're doing is right or wrong, right? And she might even step in. So could be a really polarizing character. If you have characters that are maybe not so good in the party, which is great. Conflict. You need conflict for story. So it says Dessa's upbringing with the two diplomats created a strong moral foundation that Dessa has built on over the years. So for personality trait, I do what I can in the world to make it a little better place. If I'm going to bring down those in power, I might as well do it with a smile. Ideal. I know I can't fix everything wrong with the world, but I can fix what I can. And bond. I will defend anyone that can't defend themselves. Flaw. I spend so much time on others that I forget to take care of myself. So really interesting kind of background to her, and you can definitely see how it's not just one-dimensional. There's this right and wrong, but then there's this not taking care of herself, and then this compulsion to defend people, right? And so she has advantage on wisdom, insight checks because she can read people really well. That's part of her stat block here. And then quest hook, diplomatic cables. 𝙭has gotten her hands on some diplomatic communications that prove a king has plans to sacrifice his people. 𝙭hires the party to help her get the communications to a local freedom fighting organization to help them with their cause. However, the king's secret police know that 𝙭has the communications, so then that sets it up. Are somebody going to try to intercept 𝙭, prevent her from getting that information out there? I mean, that's just cool little diplomatic mission, right? Kind of Mission Impossible stuff you could do with 𝙭as well. And certainly if 𝙭 is hanging around, she could get the party into a fight that they didn't want to get into as well. So many options, and that's just one page. They're all packed with this much stuff. So come over here, read all of these other characters, and really consider adding this to your arsenal as a DM, or if you just like reading about characters, if you're a player, or maybe hoping to DM someday. I think there's so much to be had in here, and because Matt is involved and Matt's worked on my books, I know it's going to be balanced, which is really important, because one of Matt's responsibilities with my books is to make sure that they're balanced. So you can count on that in this book as well. So I think you need to look for it in the video description links under Friend or Foe Folio and click it. Next we have Ghost Ops Second Strike, a brand new sort of military style setting from Feral Gamers Inc. For 5th edition. It's 140 pages. It's got a PDF at $14.99, and then you can get premium and standard color hardcovers or combos with the PDF included as well. So you play as tactical police units, special forces, law enforcement, ICO ghosts, PMCs, and more. And so you've got 5th edition rules, but then there's some updates, including new rules regarding weapons, including calibers and attachments, new class rules with level features, including new skill proficiencies, no subclasses. Now you choose the feature you wish for your operator to have from a list, meaning more diversity. Rules for safe houses, supply drops, requisitioning equipment, using inspiration, all kinds of stuff. There's 23 different background countries and 94 different specialist law enforcement and military units. So lots of stuff going on, and it's inspired, of course, by Tom Clancy's books and the games produced by Ubisoft. Yeah, you just need this book to play, which is kind of cool. So they've kind of combined everything from the basic rules, tweaked some things, added some things, and now you have everything. So if you like, playing those games out there, Call of Duty, or, just like those roles in real life, but don't necessarily want to join a military group or a law enforcement group, this could give you an opportunity to maybe play as one of those type of characters. So you can see 6 of the pages here, and it kind of goes into the different ways to use the book, and then you've got your table of contents here. You've got your basic training, which is the styles of play, all the way down to how to play, and then your backgrounds, operator, recruitment, active operations, and safe houses. And it looks like you can play from a variety of nations. So it says Ghost Ops is set in the modern world of counterterrorism, drug cartels, and international crime, which is a huge step away from the high fantasy magical land of 5th edition SRD, which most players know and love. To reflect this, there have been changes to specific rules that will be summarized later in this chapter and detailed further in the relative chapter. So you can have some realism if you want. And I guess it's the first time it's been released for 5th edition mechanics. Teamwork. All of the operators are working towards the same goals. It will be rare to find an operator with a separate agenda or leave their team behind, including the team's K9 operator. So yeah, lots of teamwork opportunities here. Seems like it's fun. I mean, the military and police, there are some challenges in the world today with behavior of some members of those groups, but I mean, this is a role-playing game, so it's really going to be what you make of it. What you want the characters to be up to and doing. And there may be even things like if you just play modern, 5th edition. You could take some stuff out of this and use it for the modern games, like safe houses. You could probably use that. Requisitioning equipment. I mean, there's a lot of features in here, so this could be really useful even outside of Ghost Ops. But I know there's lots of people that enjoy Ghost Ops and these kinds of games, so it's cool to see somebody try to put it with the 5th edition. So I think you should check it out in the links below under Ghost Ops and give it a click. Next, we've got Goblins, Threat, and Menace, Dark Deeds, with this fun little cover from Troy E. Taylor and First Cup Designs. It's only 99 cents for the 12 pages. It says, Goblins, use them, don't lose them. This game aid provides a game master with advice on using goblins so they stay fresh from encounter to encounter. Use them as warg riders, arsonists, silent assassins, and fierce spear wielders. Those are just a few of the many ways goblins can enhance encounters with some just minor tweaks. So based in the old Coach Road setting, which has, there's another adventure related to that. I think we've looked at that one till on Death to Us part, and it was pretty fun. It looks. I enjoy the cover. I think it's fun. I love the concept. Making this sort of underutilized creature. I guess I would say. I don't want to say monster because they're not all bad, right? So 6 pages out of the 12, so you get to see half the book. It says goblins have tremendous utility. Using them in different ways will make you have fresh encounters and keep them a part of your game for a long time. So there's new tips, but not new monster stats. And goblins found along the old Coach Road, tough and gritty opponents, curiosity about coin, what do goblins value, crafty and cunning. Goblins that fit the bill. Here are a few examples of goblins filling different roles and encounters requiring only slight adjustments. So yeah, just kind of mixing it up. Let's read a little bit here. Think of the different ways that goblins can be used in your game. Are they sneaky cutthroats leaping from dark corners to slay the unsuspecting? Are they nasty cavern dwellers hiding amongst the rocks and ambushing with hit-and-run tactics? Are they maniacal firebugs cackling uncontrollably as they put frontier settlements to the torch? Are they comical misfits of Fey origins burdened with cowardly hearts who get by on their luck? Are they relentless, merciless pursuers, warg-riding hunters dedicated to running evil, down their prey? Are they black-hearted servants of evil, creatures willing to do the deadly bidding of bullies, thugs, brutes, and ambitious wizards? So you can see the author's kind of saying, hey, it can be all of these different things. The goblin doesn't have to just be one thing or a nameless thing. It can have some personality to it. And as we talked about earlier in this episode, the notice board book has, it says Goblin Warlord is at the edge of town doing stuff, right? And we talked about in that example how that could be a misunderstanding, right? So this book is going to help you go even further with goblins and really differentiate them. I think it could be fun to maybe, if you're someone who plans a big campaign, to have like various points along the campaign where you have NPC goblins, whether they're, enemies that the party faces or just background characters or allies, and maybe make it a point to have maybe 4 or 5 of them and show the different sides of goblins as sort of a subplot to your overarching campaign. That'd be pretty easy to do because you just, whenever they go to a settlement, you kind of work one in, or whenever they're on the road, you work another one in, and before you know it, they're going to get to the end of it and say, oh, goblins are multidimensional. They're not just whatever, they're not just a placeholder monster. So I applaud this. I think it's cool. And 99 cents, great price, right? So check it out. It's in the links below under Goblins, Threat, and Menace. Give it a click. Next, we have The Mechanism of Ruya, an adventure for character levels 1 to 5, and it's part of the Cloak and Coin campaign setting. We've covered Cloak and Coin previously on this series when they released this sort of campaign setting book. So here's a new one with a really fun cover. I like this sort of mechanical eye thing hidden in this alleyway. Looks cool. It's from Red Turban Press, $15 for 51 pages, 5th edition. And it says it's a story of ancient arcana, friendships and betrayals, and the corrupting power of ambition. It introduces your players to the lands of the Six Cities Confederacy, the ever-shifting politics of the city of 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, and the shadowy life of a cloak, an adventurer working for the factions and chartered houses that rule the Confederacy. There are the outsiders, the forgotten, the ones living between the cracks, and even the darkest cloak might end up working to save the city they call home. And it's written for 4 players and takes characters from levels 1 to 5. So looking inside, you get to see 6 of those 51 pages, and the adventure is broken down into 5 chapters with the supporting cast and threats in the appendices. And so you've got your introduction, the overview, the story so far, running the adventure, and look at this gorgeous map here for 𝙎𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬. And then you go into chapter 1. And so we'll read the flavor text there, but I do want to zoom in so you can really enjoy the nice job they've done with this map. I enjoy it. They've got the Great Bazaar in the center here, the Copper Crescent, just some really fun different names and locations for you to explore. And, remember, when you buy these adventures, you're not just buying something to go from point A to point Z, enjoy the story. You're also getting pieces that you can pull and use elsewhere. You're getting a map like that you can use elsewhere. You're getting a town that could be a home base after this adventure or before this adventure. You're getting characters you can use. A lot of people avoid buying adventures, but I think they shouldn't do that, because even if you don't run the full adventure, there's going to be stuff you can mine from the text and reuse. Anything D&D is yours to manipulate and craft for your table. So don't overlook adventures. I think they have a lot to offer. So let's look at some of the flavor text here. And I like how they're doing the flavor text in this book, because normally it's a box, but here they're just changing the color of the text. So it's kind of an interesting, different way of doing it. And I like that. So it says, a cool wind blows in from the sea of Masera, chilling the night air of 𝙎𝙬𝙬𝙧's great bazaar. Even as the sun recedes behind the distant Tumanza Mountains, activity in this massive marketplace, the great beating heart of the city, continues. Lamplighters move about, bringing to life illuminating beacons of iron and oil. The lamps turn the stalls and booths of the night vendors into a shadowy maze, concealing the truce of buyer and seller alike. At the northern edge of the Great Bazaar lies a humble but well-regarded tavern, the Rotten Tomato. While it may not be the most well-appointed house of food and drink, the Rotten Tomato has a felicitous reputation for good service. The bar and kitchen serve simple but pleasing fare, and its owner, a half-Lysantho woman named Lucia Oladi, ensures that her common room is a safe place for all sorts of discussions and dealings, both the prospect of a warm meal on this unseasonably chilly evening and the chance to earn some coin have brought you to the Tomato. Each of you has received word from a Silver, an anonymous agent working for one of the chartered houses of 𝙎𝙬𝙬𝙧, telling you about a new opportunity for those willing to take a chance. Work has been hard to find for cloaks such as yourselves. You have to make the connections or earn the reputation needed to be successful in this shadowy life. But perhaps that is about to change. So fun, flavorful description. I love this notion of lamplighters and a bazaar that is sort of changing as it goes to night, and it's hiding the truth of the buyers and the sellers. I mean, that's just really moody, really sets the tone. I like the writing. It's well written, good punctuation, lots of white space for your eyes, and great maps. I mean, everything I can see makes this look like it could be really fun, and I think you should consider it. And remember, even if you're not planning to run the whole adventure, there's going to be stuff in here that you can grab out of it. But I think it looks like it could be really fun. That intro we read was intriguing to begin with. So check this out in the links below under Mechanism of Ruya and give it a click. Next, we've got the Mystery of Blood Mist Swamp, a deep, dark 5th edition adventure from VTT Journey, or Virtual Tabletop Journey. It's got a suggested price of $6.99 on Pay What You Want for 20 pages. And the thing about this is that it's really designed for VTT. So you've got support for Talespire in here, which is really fun. I know a lot of people have been enjoying getting to know Talespire as a VTT option. But it says here, the potion maker, Mariadel, is desperate to find more supplies or she will be forced to move shop. Her supplies come from dangerous areas of the Blood Mist Swamp, and hardy adventurers are needed to find out what happened to the source of her most valuable potions. So it's got a story to challenge a group of 4 4th level characters with notes for increasing difficulty, full color region map, 3 original high-quality swamp battle maps, and of course Tailspire support. Game boards ready to go, so you can focus on having fun, including 3 fully detailed Tailspire boards, direct import links for all the creature blueprints. So you can see some images of it here too. This is Tailspire. It's kind of a cool-looking 3D version of a VTT. I love these kind of creatures coming out of the swamp here, or whatever those are. Oozes, looks like. Fun stuff, and you don't get to look inside, but I think just looking at these pictures is good enough. If anybody's out there trying Tailspire or wants to try, something built for VTT with a pay what you want price, then this is it. So check it out under Mystery of Blood Mist Swamp in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Places of Prayer and Despair, 7 holy locations for role-playing games from Sorshi Games, and it's $2.95, 39 pages, and it's authors Carl Erik Ingves, and it is system agnostic, so you can really use it with anything, because it's really locations, right? When you have a book that's dedicated primarily to locations, it makes it more accessible to other things. So it's got something called the Church of Creation, Last Hope, Maze of Clear Thoughts, Mountain Lake of Dreams Domain, and others. And it comes with 1 to 3 illustrations each, background text, 4d6 tables, handouts, starting points, etc. And tables like the Adventurer's Goal, the Miracle, the Danger, the Treasure. So you can really kind of piece together an adventure using these locations. And there's also a bundle at the bottom to get this along with several other books. So consider that before you click the purchase. All right, let's read a little bit of the inside. So you get to see 10 of those 39 pages. Some really nice artwork already that we're seeing. I like this skull tree here. It says the Church of Creation, and it's got information on that church, and then you get down here to those tables. So we'll just read like the first paragraph of the Church of Creation, and then we'll read some of the tables. So it says, most religions describe the world's creation as a conflict between the gods of order and the antediluvian creatures of chaos. Usually this is also commonly understood as the battle of light and dark. But as the light can cast shadows, there is also a glimmer of hope in the darkness. As the stories tell, the gods were not only victorious, but used the slain bodies of chaos as the seed of creation. The gods shaped the dark into life as the blacksmith hammered the crude ore into steel. Cruel titans ruled the lifeless void, dedicated to destruction and suppression according to the oldest myths. However, these creatures were also the parents of the gods, and as it happens with all abusive parents, the children were either revolt or fall into despair. One of these titans was Lamusa, a fierce giant with moldering skin and eyes the color of the sun. His power was to create mindless servants and unholy crawling things from barren rock. He wielded life with his right hand, while the left hand directed his creations to destroy. But like the other titans who did not flee, he was slain by the gods. After the gods' victory, the victors deemed the body of Lamusa as the richest soil to plant the seed of life. The world and life expanded from his skull like a fungus, spreading its mycelium through the dirt. So that explains the skull tree here is sort of the start of everything. So some fun lore there that you can play with. And then we've got the Adventurer's Goal table. The adventurers are pilgrims traveling to where the world's creation started, at least according to the rumor. Perhaps they are sent by a religious organization to confirm or reject this claim, or perchance they are already true believers. And then under the Miracle D6 table, we have the era before the gods created the world is still present inside the skull of a giant Lamusa, or of the giant Lamusa. Time does not pass inside the church as it is from before the gods created time. Creatures do not age, nor do they need to feed or sleep. And then you've got the Danger, the Treasure. I mean, lots of fun little tables that you can reuse, not just for the 7 holy locations, although they could certainly be weaved into those. Or woven into those, I should say. And yeah, necropolis in here, temple palaces, pyramids. It looks really fun. So check it out under Places of Prayer and Despair in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Roc Climbing, a Night Owl Odyssey's adventure. $4 for 13 pages, 5th edition. The fabled golden egg was proudly on display at the Keystone Gardens Art and Wine Festival when it was stolen by a monstrous bird-like creature seemingly made of obsidian, worth an untold fortune, and even more worrying, said to hold a curse that could bring even the strongest of warriors to their knees. The retrieval of this egg is paramount. Are you up for a bit of rock climbing? Spelt R-O-C, of course. And so you get maps, tokens, music, and items. We've covered several of their releases. They've been releasing a lot of them lately. And so I like them because it's really all in. You get the adventure, you get the tokens, you get the cards, you get the music, and the maps. I mean, what more do you need? It should be everything you need minus you. So if you buy it, then it has you too. So definitely cool to see this artwork, this consistent style, and I'm sure you could buy this, keep buying all of these, and have this whole series work together. These tokens work really well together. I like that this is a rock and there's a whole little nest at the top. You get fully statted monster sheets, gorgeous monster tokens, 4 new monsters, 2 custom battle maps, 3 magic items, and 2 musical tracks. And there's even a little video down here to watch, which I encourage you to do, and of course to subscribe to Night Owl Odyssey while you're at it on YouTube. But beautiful. I think I'm just really enjoying this series. And I think it's worth checking out, especially if you use VTT, because you're really going to get all those benefits, all the way through the music. I mean, it's rare to get everything, including the music. So check it out under Rock Climbing in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Tiny Tome of Dangerous Food from 𝘬𝙬, $2 for 28 pages, 5th edition. Bored of your players spending their time fighting monsters and eating food? Would you rather them eat monsters and fight food? Well, the Tiny Tome of Dangerous Food can help you with half of it. Let's face it, many other products tell you how to cook and do other crafting with monsters, but this new Tiny Tome introduces you to 6 different types of food that you can fight against. So you've got the killer pie, the dragon bread, evil pizza, sorceress sausage, and more. And what's cool is there's this unique stat block approach that 𝘬𝙬 takes for these tiny tomes, and I really think it's a fun idea. And that is that you get the stat block, but then the numbers are put into a table, and CR is one side of that table, and so each of those numbers changes based on the CR that you decide for the monster. So what you're basically getting is like 8 different versions of each monster for various difficulties. So you can just look at the chart and basically say, okay, I need a CR 4 or whatever, and then follow along that line and use the numbers in that line, and away you go, and you have this really flexible monster. So it's a cool technique that 𝘬𝙬 has implemented in this series. And I bought one of the previous Tiny Tomes, and it was fun. So here you go. You've got the list of the different creatures, and then you get into the introduction, how to use the book, all that stuff. And then we get into the first monster, the dragon bread, and you can see the different details about it. I don't know if this one has the different stat block. Let's see. No, maybe this one does or doesn't. If it does, it's on one of the pages we can't see, but you can still see those fun stat blocks on the catalog page as well. But it says, Dragon Bread, why go to the trouble of learning how to cook when you can just imagine a dish and it will appear in front of you, completely real and delicious? That's what some of the creatures of the Plane of Nightmares can do. The best part is that they don't get fat. They don't even get nutrients from this food, just pleasure. Dominators are a type of creature from the Plane of Nightmares. Among other things, they are known for their fondness for dragons from the primary material plane and also small objects. When these creatures learned the multi-universally famous art of cooking, one of their favorite dishes was the dragon bread. Some Dominator cooks make this bread from wheat and flour and ember spears, but others take the fast route and create them with the power of their minds and imaginations. In any case, the result of both of these practices have weird results, like the fact that some of these breads bite. So then you have the bread here with its little stat block, and it's got a retaliation escape, and then you get all this lore, the Habitat Society stuff, which is really fun, and says when the dragonbred is attacked by a creature grappling it, the dragonbred can use its reaction to make a melee attack. If the attack is successful, the dragonbred escapes from the grapple and moves 5 feet. So yeah, and the art is really fun. You can see this bread sort of trying to bite into this apple with its eye looking at you. But yeah, I think that's fun. There's also this eye in this pie, probably killer pie, I'm guessing. So yeah, and this again is that picture down here at the bottom of the stat blocks. I don't know if we can make it bigger. Oh, we can make it a little bigger. So there you can see that table with CR, size, strength, dex, con, all the stats, all the numbers that would change based on, you can go from CR 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 12. Really varied, nice, helpful to have that. Give those DMs options. So I've been enjoying this Tiny Tome series, at least the one that I got. So I'm gonna have to wish list this and get it later. But this looks really fun. I think you should check it out. Throw some crazy food at your players. They think they're just going to rest, and then they're attacked by a killer pie or whatever, right? So check it out under Tiny Tome of Dangerous Food in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Tribal Settlements 2 Basic Edition with the Beast Ochre color. There's a bunch of different color options. So I think there's a green and a red one that you can get as well. But this works great with minis. You can build these little paper houses. We looked at those paper minis earlier that would work great with this, or you maybe have your own minis. But I love that you can make all these different houses and huts and stuff with it. Here's another great picture of it. And it's really the second set in it. You got this, you can see how you can do different variations with different tops on the top of it. You can open up, like lift up the roof and actually have something happening inside. And then you can see the different colors. This one is ochre color, but you can get the other ones that you can see down here. Here's the green one, here's the red one down here in the also purchase section. And it's also 25 to 30 millimeter scale. So just like what Paper Schnitzel does, creating these paper fold-ups. I used a lot of the paper fold-ups from back in the day, and I have such fond memories of them. So it's great to see people still making paper craft stuff. I think it's super cool. So check it out under Tribal Settlements 2 in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Warlock Grimoire 3. From Kobold Press. It's on sale for $14.99 instead of $24. It's 295 pages with a bunch of authors, and it's for 5th edition, of course. It says, enter a portal to the unknown, darkly fantastical material for the world's first RPG. Within these dusty pages, uncover the secrets of the world, indeed of the branches of the multiverse. Collected here are entire lost volumes of esoteric truths. The Warlock Grimoire 3. Inside, find revelations and testimonials on monsters, magic, locales, and lore for fantasy adventures. The life and times of the noble bear folk, their bear maiden, and their honey axes. Mysteries of the quizzical raven folk, steeped in magic and myth. Dangerous secrets kept by the druids, from dark trinkets to hidden circles. Weird and quirky truths, from the astral moons to the odd weather of the wastes. Details and history of the village of Red Tower, ever in the shadow of the Scarlet Citadel. Wondrous and mysterious locales of the Southlands, where adventure is abundant. So Kobold has a lot of settings like Midgard, Southlands, you know, all of these cool locations. The Scarlet Citadel is one of their really fun adventures. And this book is going to weave all of those in, because you're going to have some multiversal goodness. You're also going to get some subclasses, backgrounds, spells, magic items, monsters, and more. I mean, it's 295 pages, so it's almost 300 pages. That's a lot of stuff. And it is all compatible with 5th edition. So, you know, Kobold does a lot of good stuff. They have Tome of Beasts that are really popular. You know, they're a big name in this industry, and so it's definitely worth paying attention and seeing what they're up to. They've got 6 pages out of the 295 for you to review in here, so you can see the table of contents. You can see, like, they've got lore of storytelling and storytelling with a guide to the planes, adventure and dungeoneering section, magic section, including rune magic of the raven folk. They've got a player section. with subclasses like Path of the Dragon, Blood on the Leaves, Life in the Winewood. Yeah, just really cool stuff. I read that wrong. It's I read the names wrong. It's Circle of Fermentation with the subtitle Life in the Winewood, Circle of the Weald, Blood on the Leaves. So there you go. And then yeah, look at that cool artwork. Yeah, I really have always enjoyed looking at Kobold's books because there's just great layouts, always great artwork, and just very well known in the industry. A lot of people enjoy Kobold, so it's fun when they release something new. We get to talk about them, and I get to tell you that they have a release so that you don't miss it. And I really hope you check it out. It's in the links below under Warlock Grimoire 3. And that's our last DriveThruRPG title for the week. We are going to move on to DM's Guild, but don't forget the GM's Day Sale continues this weekend, and that's it. I think the 13th is the last day, so click any of the links in the video description and you will get to DriveThru and DM's Guild and get to purchase things at deeply discounted prices. It's the biggest sale of the year, and it seems like almost every book is on sale. So you want to go through your wish list, make those purchases. You want to go through maybe past episodes of this, grab things you meant to purchase and didn't. But if you start by clicking any of those links, you're going to help the channel with a very small percentage through the affiliate program. And I encourage you to support all of these great creators. Also, please consider the 5 books that we released in 2021 under Splinterverse Media. You've got the Feywild Companion available in digital and print on demand with anything you could ever want for Feywild fun, and it works well with WoW Beyond the Witchlight or on its own. It has its own adventures, subclasses, spells, magic items. Anything Fey is in there, and you are good to go with that book. We've also got Potions Unlocked, which is on print on demand and digital as well. It's over 100 pages related to potions, including really cool new potions with short stories explaining their background, goes into the taste and smell of each of the potions, how to make them, locations where you can have potion related adventures, hooks. It's just a phenomenal DM's resource for potion stuff and, crafting even. Then you've got Van Richten's Libram of Lineages, which is 4 really unique lineages for any setting, with baked in conflict for you. It'll make creating your character's background so fun because there's some really interesting twists to those lineages, and it also has optional rules to help you manage lineages in your campaign. We got Secrets of the Draugr, which is a brand new race that combines both the Duergar and Drow for some interesting twists. It's got backgrounds in it. It's got NPCs, adventure hooks, and even deities. So very cool to check out. And then, of course, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which is a dragon-themed book. It is just dripping in dragon stuff. It's got horde magic items, draconic gifts, subclasses, one for each class. It's got, including the Artificer even, it's got adventure hooks, you name it. If it's dragon related, it's in there, and it's just so much fun. Lots of good feedback on that one, on all of them really. So you definitely want to check those out, and I really appreciate it. It supports us to be able to do more fun stuff, like more books and more stuff with the channel. And if you could please subscribe and like the video, leave us a comment, share the video out there. That really helps us spread the word. It's a great place for people to find out about these creators. So I'm excited to spread the word and just get as many eyeballs on it as we can, so that hopefully people will buy books like Warlock Grimoire 3 and other great books that we looked at this week, and just really have fun at their table. So let's move on to DM's Guild. Our first DM's Guild title this week is 3 for 5e, the Testudine Testament, with this fun cover. I think it's a really smart way to have a visually impactful cover by taking a photo of what looks to be, a dungeon master's notebook with a taped title, and then you've got the little miniatures and dice and a map and everything. It caught my eye for sure. and I think it's a great way to draw people in and say, what is this? What am I looking at? So very cool cover. It's from Cacklin Slayers. It's 50 cents on Pay What You Want for 4 pages. It says, ruthless thugs assault the city's temples, stores, and alchemist laboratories to rob all kinds of magical liquids. These thieves belong to the Testudine Testament, a cult based around the worship of a gigantic speaking turtle living beneath the city. What the cultists don't know is that they are being led on by a swarm of cranium rats pulling the strings to fuel its addiction to magic. A duped alchemist asks the characters to track down and deal with the criminals that ransacked her laboratory. While investigating, the party finds its way into the seedy underbelly of the city, where the characters learn of mysterious gatherings taking place in a neglected part of the sewers. And it's a one-shot for 3 to 5 characters of level 4, and it looks like it's mostly role-playing with a mixture of combat and exploration for the rest of it. And it says these are designed for new and veteran DMs alike. With every 3-page adventure, we aim to provide you a flexible and adaptable one-shot that's easy to run with little to no prep time. So very cool. And you can see on the cover, too, the giant turtle. And looks like there might even be smaller ones involved, too, which is cool. So I like that. Fun. All right. So looking inside, you get to see the whole book, which is very generous. So it goes into the Testudine and the adventure hook, as well as the encounter locations, entrance, all the different areas, developments that can happen probably to carry things on. And then you've got the map here, which looks really nice, and the stat block for, it looks like some sort of CR2 creature, which is cool. And let's read the encounter hook. It says, a duped Ismarai asks the characters for help, promising them 75 gold pieces each if they track down and deal with the criminals that ransacked her laboratory. While investigating, the party finds its way into the seedy underbelly of the city, where the characters learn of mysterious gatherings taking place. So, similar to what we read earlier, but that's okay. Let's read about Ismarai. Ismarai is famous for the high quality of her potions. Brewings that fail to meet the alchemist standards end up in the sewers beneath her laboratory, where an old basin has been collecting magical waste for years. I see where this is going. Far below the surface of this arcane soup resides a gargantuan sea turtle, the result of Ismarai's failed attempt to extract ingredients from eggs. The turtle has been feeding itself on the magical mishmash for all of its life, allowing it to grow into extraordinary proportions. Yes, so that's why we have this giant talking turtle. Makes sense. And I like that concept of the runoff, the pollution from the alchemy going on and the potion making. So very fun. I think you should check it out under 3 for 5e, the Testudine Testament, in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Beyond the Black Pudding, the Ultimate Ooze Compendium by Danny and Matthew Kodachek. It says a sprinkling of slimy creatures, big and small, for Dungeons and Dragons. It's $8.99 for 43 pages. It says oozes everywhere. Amorphous blobs of terror, oozes such as the gelatinous cube and the black pudding are some of D&D's most famous monsters. But if a few oozes are exciting, why not more? This compendium includes a vast array of oozes, from the tiny greasy smudge to the gargantuan creeping tar, from the undead putrid sludge to the sophisticated chartreuse ooze, as well as containing stat blocks for over 30 brand new oozes, many with original artwork. It also features several unique and individual ooze NPCs. Meet Monsieur Mango, sentient gelatinous cube and proprietor of a popular juice bar. Or tangle with the Ooze Slayers, a pair of deadly oozes possessed by the vengeful spirits of ooze hunters. Alongside the ooze descriptions, you will find multiple special new game mechanics, diseases, and magic items to enhance your oozy adventures. In addition, you'll find a new playable ooze-based race called the Floob, and a complete one-shot adventure, the Black Tar Rises, featuring many of the oozes described. So this is a lot of oozy stuff, which I like, and I think all the names are right on. They're on that fine line between being humorous and authentic, and I love it, because when it tips too far to the humorous, you kind of find yourself in this parody space that you may or may not want to be into. So I love that they've tread that line very carefully. and a lot of fun little character things going on, and really just a wide array of stuff in this. I mean, between new monsters, an adventure, a race, and NPCs, I mean, you're really getting an assortment of ooze related stuff. So if you want to have a campaign that is ooze themed, or just to weave in subplots related to oozes, you could do that. I like Monsieur Mango, a sentient gelatinous cube, and has a juice bar. I mean, that's something you don't see every day, and I think it could really be fun for the players. So looking inside, you get to see 4 of those 43 pages. So on this page is a new disease and some new magic items. So even more stuff than we saw on the front, or on the catalog page here, which is exciting. And then here you get into some of the oozes. So yeah, I like that. Burgundy lava, brittle bismuth, briny pus, bloody flux. So just really cool different names there. And then you've got this new disease, new magic items, etc. Let's see if we can read one of these magic items. Amulet of Ooze Summoning. It's wondrous item, very rare, and requires attunement. This amulet has 10 charges and regains 1d6 plus 4 expended charges daily at dawn. If the last charge of the amulet is used, it melts into watery mucus and is destroyed. While wearing this amulet, you can use an action to summon 1 or more oozes. The oozes appear in unoccupied spaces of your choice that you can see within 20 feet. And then, of course, the usual about how they behave. It says summon oozes with an intelligence of 6 or more are loyal to you and obey your commands telepathically as long as you are wearing the amulet. Lower intelligent oozes act independently but will not attack you while you're wearing the amulet. You can use 1 charge to summon 1 small ooze or 3 tiny oozes with a total challenge rating of no more than 2, and you can use 3 charges to summon 1 medium ooze, 3 small oozes, or 10 tiny oozes with a total challenge rating of no more than 6. So good guidance there for the DM and the player to make sure that they're not being OP with that item. So very cool. And there's Potion of Ooze Form, Pipe of Ooze Charming, and then here's a summary of all the oozes, and you can see they go from CR 0 all the way through to 20, which is great because that gives you such a spectrum of oozes to pick from, and there's quite a lot of oozes in here. So I think anybody who's into these creature type ooze creatures is going to have fun with this, and anybody who's looking to bring more of that into their game is also going to have fun, I think. So really like it a lot. I hope you check it out. It's under Beyond the Black Pudding in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have 𝙭Beowulf's Domain of Dread, and it's from Christopher M. Savasco, $12.95 for 125 pages. It says, for those who yearn to explore a domain of long ships and shield walls, crafty dwarves and cursed giants, misty fjords, and serpent-choked seas, 𝙭provides these in endless supply. 𝙭's central plot, the search for means by which to stop Grendel and his Dark Lord mother from terrorizing revelers in firelit mead halls, can lead adventurers to explore any number of whispered rumors and mysterious sites inspired by the Beowulf epic. This dread domain blends elements of Norse myth, Anglo-Saxon history, the history and cultures of Arctic Greenland and Norway, and Ravenloft's own disturbing lore. A campaign in 𝙭presents the tragic tale of monstrous Grendel, cast out from civilized society, of Beowulf, a hero driven by the thirst for saga glory, of the mare wife, a warrior whose blood feud code compels her to seek vengeance for her murdered son. It is a tale that ends in tragedy so profound it drew the attention of Ravenloft's dark powers, who wished to see that tragedy played out over and over again. This 125-page Ravenloft Gazetteer provides everything you need to run a campaign in 𝙭, a wide domain name for the famous hall to which Grendel comes each night. And so it's got detailed descriptions of the regions, profiles, lore, 50 new and classic monsters, NPC stat blocks, magic items, 20 of them, or more than 20, new weapons and tools, new forms of lycanthropy, including a were-squirrel, mechanics for fighting in the shield wall, new group of travelers in the mist, profile of Wiglaf the Mist Wanderer, adventure hooks, encounter tables, and just a bunch of stat blocks here it's showing that you can get. And then You get high resolutions of the domain map in both color and grayscale. So very fun. I love it. I think Christopher's a talented writer. We've done a separate video on Bound to Dread by Christopher as well, which was a really cool book. So I'm happy that this is out there because I'm sure it's good, and you know, who doesn't like Norse stuff? I mean, this is bringing the Norse feeling to Ravenloft, so you can have a bit of both. You can have the Ravenloft darkness and the Domain of Dread combined with Norse stuff, including Beowulf, which is one of, you know, the oldest surviving English language epics, right? So I think it's really exciting to see that adapted for Ravenloft as a Domain of Dread. And so you get to see 25 of the 125 pages. You can see all the settlements and sites, the different, including the lords of the, you know, the dark lords of the area. Then you've got mist wanderers and travelers in the mist, friends and foes, and then a whole preface here. And yeah, you get the profile of the domain itself with the noteworthy features, you know. So this is aligning very well with what you see in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, where it has all the profile of everything happening, including a section on you know, what it would be like to create a character from 𝘎𝙤, so that you can incorporate that if you're creating characters in the domain. Here's your domain map, super helpful. Yeah, so you're going through all the little sections here. Might read a little bit of that in a minute. And yeah, quite extensive, going into all the different areas, all the different points on the map. And then you've got an encounter table. There's even a fog section with DCs for the fog. And then you've got your railroad encounters. So yeah, you're getting to see a lot of the setup, which I think is great because you could really read all about this domain before you purchase if you want. So let's find a good section to read. It says, 𝘎𝙤, nobles, heroes, and monsters mire the domain of dread in an endless cycle of vengeance. From common folk to royalty, lives here are dictated by the redressing of perceived injuries that might range from mere social slights to treacherous murders. Nightly, the golden mead hall of 𝘎𝙤, from which the wider domain takes its name, is beset by the monstrous killer named Grendel, who rails against his shunned existence by slaughtering those who gather in the hall to eat, drink, dance, and tell melancholy stories of lost youth. Throughout the wider domain, other halls and villages feared this monster might one day set its sights on them, even as they murder each other in petty blood feuds of their own. So that's a really good setup because you have this almost Groundhog Day situation of Grendel coming and wreaking havoc over and over every night. But then you also have the fear that pervades the other parts of the domain. So I like that setup. It says, woe to any who managed to slay Grendel, for such heroes must then contend with his grieving mother, the warrior juggernaut known as the Marewife, Dark Lord over the domain. The Marewife is both the land's greatest terror and a prisoner who is herself tormented by the domain's endless cycle. Once the Marewife avenges her fallen son, always in grisly fashion, the cycle begins again, and Grendel and all of those he and his mother most recently slew return to life with the dawn, remembering nothing of Grendel's fall or the Marewife's vengeance. So again, that sort of Groundhog Day combined with Beowulf, combined with Ravenloft and Vikings. You know, if you've watched Vikings or any of those similar shows, there's even mechanics in here to do a shield wall, which is something they show in Vikings, that the Vikings did as a battle technique. So love it. I think this is definitely worth purchasing. It's just gonna be packed with stuff, and I mean, it would be good to get to know the story of Beowulf a little bit more as well for people. So check it out. It's under 𝘎𝙤 in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have In the Steps of Giants, Frost by Dallas Frost. It is $2.95. It's a 22-page supplement designed to diversify frost giants in your games and aims to bring to scale the true size of giant kind, providing them with fresh rules to reflect their size and strength, giving them several ways to move players around and storm around the battlefields themselves. This supplement also explores several unique aspects of frost giants, in particular, giving them new stat blocks and rules to reflect their heritage as raiders and pillagers from the north. And it's by Dallas Frost, which is an appropriate name if you're writing about frost giants, right? 8 new frost giant stat blocks, including 2 leaders, 2 generalists, and 4 specialists. 3 new legendary lords designed to challenge 5th, 10th, and 16th level parties. 8 new magic items to serve as loot from the giants contained herein. Very cool. So you get to see 3 of the 21 pages. So kind of an intro with some design philosophy, and then goes right into Raiders of the North. So let's read a little bit about that. With drums and horns they come, the raving giants of the north. Frost giants come from beyond civilization to raid and plunder to their heart's content, before disappearing as quickly as they came. They are fierce, rugged warriors who must fight for survival every day of their existence, a task they manage in large part due to their strength and formidable size. Frost giant society values the strongest members of the clan over others, which results in a culture deeply concerned with personal strength and prowess. Giants who achieve great feats of strength or kill fearsome creatures are lauded and celebrated amongst their kin and bring great honor on the clan, while those who show weakness are shunned by their clanmates and in extreme cases exiled. Still, there are many paths a frost giant can walk. Not all of them require great strength, with a giant able to prove themselves in many ways. In this tome, we explore the nature of the frost giants. And so you've got Jarls, champions, youths, beastmasters, shamans, scalds, reavers, and wormfangs as the different types of frost giants that you might encounter. So very cool. I always thought some of the giants should get fleshed out a little bit more. So it looks like somebody has taken the time to do that. So if you want to learn more about that, look for In the Steps of Giants Frost in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got the Mystiquean Underdark, a Mystiquean campaign supplement by John Hield for $1.50. And it is 16 pages. It says, in the fabled lands of Mystica, underground world is often believed to be the land of the dead. It is not, but the misunderstanding certainly exists for a good reason. Underdark was an accessory for the Forgotten Realms campaign setting for the 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons rules. It explored a fabulous collection of new locations, some of which have never been detailed before or since. This book hopes to instill a similar sense of wonder that was so strongly represented in Underdark. It has a collection of new locations that exist under Mystica where few humans dare to tread. So John Hield has done a bunch of Mystiquean stuff, bringing back Mystica from older editions, and you can see kind of all of that down here. You've got the Mystica campaign, and then John Hield has some other campaigns as well. But I want to point out that there is a Mystica bundle down here for $12 that does contain this title as well as other Mystiquean titles, so keep that in mind. But $1.50 is a good price as well. So you've got 8 pages here to take a look at, and so it says the Mystiquean Underdark. You got an intro, locations with a map, a cool map of the different places, and then it talks about the cliffs of Colabarega, Dark Mound, Fire Falls, all kinds of stuff going on. All these locations seem pretty cool. And some, they're tagged Middle Dark, Lower Dark, etc. So yeah, I think this is cool how descriptive they are of the different locations. I want to read about the Fire Falls, so we'll just pick one to read for you. But be sure to come here and read some of these other locations, because I think that'll give you a good feel for the book. The Fire Falls, in a region of the Upper Dark where volcanic activity is otherwise unknown, a river of lava flows and pours over the edge of an abyss that is a bottom a mile below. The sight is remarkable, and the way the shadows play on the cavern walls is known to be both beautiful and frightening. Secret. 1,000 years ago, 2 lesser Tilinkali cities went through a war of attrition with one another. The smaller of the 2 sat at the bottom of the abyss below the Fire Falls, and the other was only a short distance away in the under tunnels. After decades of conflict, Tilinkali, diviners from the latter city summoned beings from the elemental planes known as lava children, along with their Thaqua allies. Compelled to assist the diviners, the lava children commanded their Thaqua to dig tunnels from the deep and guide a flow of lava to where the falls are now located. Upon their completion, the Tilinkali city below was destroyed in a great conflagration. While the surviving city had finally defeated their foes, Their numbers had been so depleted in the long conflict that they too eventually fell into ruin. The lava children and their Thakwa, however, lingered. The firefalls are now their 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙨. So, very flavorful, descriptive text just for that one area, and there's a whole map showing all the different areas of the Underdark. And it's related to Mystica and the Mystican campaign by John Hild, but if you have other Underdark stuff going on, you could pluck an area out of this. Maybe you've got a homebrew Underdark that you don't want to use a fully fleshed out third-party one, so maybe you just take a couple locations out of here, and for $1.50, I mean, that to me would be worth it. So yeah, I think there's a lot on offer here if you're a fan of Mystica or Underdark or both. So check it out under Mystica and Underdark in the links below and give it a click. Next we have The Priest, a cleric for low magic settings by Zachary Clapwald. It's free on, as a suggested price on Pay What You Want, but you can certainly pay more. And it's 15 pages. It says The Priest is a reimagining of the cleric for low magic settings. The spellcasting feature has been replaced with extra attack and new abilities depending on your chosen divine domain and divine calling. Priests choose from one of 7 divine domains at level 1, knowledge, life, light, nature, trickery, tempest, or war. They can further customize their abilities by choosing from one of 4 divine callings at level 3, the ascetic, the crusader, the inquisitor, or the preacher. Priests grow even more unique as they choose from their divine revelations as they level up. So, very cool. So yeah, some people play in like low magic settings, or they would prefer a priest that's not super spellcasty, right? Maybe they want it to be more praying and stuff happens, or doing something with their holy symbol and stuff happens. Which you could do with spells, just maybe make the spell be really something described some differently, right? But this is helpful if you're looking to do that, because it literally is going to spell all of it out for you, so you don't have to do a bunch of conversions on the fly, etc. And you can see pretty much most of the book because you get to see 10 pages in a free preview here. It's going through each of the domains, really tweaking those based on the new changes. Trying to find maybe a section that'll summarize how things work. So it says, through contemplating and studying your deity and domain, dreams or insights offered from your deity, or secret teachings of your priesthood or religion, you have received revelations useful to your life as an adventurer. At second level, you gain 1 divine revelation of your choice. Your revelation options are detailed at the end of the class description. When you gain a certain priest levels, you gain additional revelations of your choice, as shown in the revelations column. Additionally, when you gain a level in this class, you can choose one of the revelations you know and replace it with another one. So it's kind of like an Eldritch Invocation or something. Divine calling at 3rd level, you choose or perhaps are called to the life you shall lead in service of your deity. You gain one of the following features of your choice: ascetic, crusader, inquisitor, preacher. So, for example, ascetics are those who choose a life in contemplation of their deity or domain. Many are hermits, scholars, or mentors that strive to achieve physical and mental perfection. You can use your wisdom modifier for attack and damage rolls with your symbolic weapon if it doesn't have any special, heavy or special property. While not wearing armor or shield, your armor class is equal to 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. And then they've got Crusader, which it looks like have several options. And then you've got Inquisitor and Preacher. And then extra attack starting at 5th level, you can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. And just all kinds of stuff going all the way into Gift of Tongues, Prophet, Saint, 20th level. The power of your deity offers you constant protection from otherworldly forces. Aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead have disadvantage on attack rolls against you, and you cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. So, seems appropriate for the theme. So yeah, if you're looking to make your priests a little bit more low fantasy and less spellcastery, then this is a good option for you. So look for it in the links below under Priest, a cleric for low magic settings, and give it a click. Next we've got Sinister Suspects, Van Richten's Case Files, Volume 1. which has a collection of sinister foes for the Ravenloft campaign setting by Marco A. Torres. It's $4.95 for 32 pages. It says 2 unique villains to serve as recurring foes, as well as a campaign outline for each villain with detailed adventure hooks to continue the hunt across multiple domains of dread. You've got the Were-Raven, a dastardly scholar seeking the way to a lost domain who uses birds and the environment to terrorize those who stand in his way. The Night Terror, a spirit trapped by the Nightmare Court who haunts dreamers with visions of their own death. 2 complete short adventures, Tier 1. An unkind nature, a gathering of the keepers of the feather, turns deadly when murderous birds overwhelm a seaside town. And another one called A Dream of Eternal Sleep, a simple rest turns into a waking nightmare as visions of death haunt the hero's dreams. And then you've got a new magic item and optional rules for running dream encounters, which sounds fun. So looking inside, you get to see 6 of the 32 pages. So, as it said, there's these 2 new villains, and it goes into the different chapters here. So the Were-Beast and Unkind Nature, the Ghost, and A Dream of Eternal Sleep. So you get to see a little bit of the Were-Beast. So this is the Were-Raven with some very nice artwork. And a description, background, current sketch, role-playing the Were-Raven. So that's quite, 3 pages on the Were-Raven. If you count the art, that's pretty cool. So it says, Nathaniel is a frail-looking human with pale skin, jet black hair, and a slender frame. He presents himself as a scholar and dresses the part. Glasses, a simple coat and vest, slacks, and comfortable shoes. He never wears clothing made of animals, avoiding leather, fur, and feathers. The only accessory of note on his person is a small brooch made of onyx in the shape of a single raven's feather, identifying him as a member of the Keepers of the Feather. His lycanthropic affliction allows Nathaniel to take on the form of a raven, as well as a hybrid human raven form, which is his preferred state. In his hybrid form, Nathaniel is a frightening creature. His body sprouts the dark plumage of a raven, and his hands and feet convert into long talons, much too large for any gloves or shoes he may be wearing as a human. His eyes grow larger, taking on an eerie yellow tint, while his mouth and nose extend into a long, dark indigo beak. 2 large feathered wings burst from his shoulders, either expanded to a full wingspan in order to fly or intimidate, or otherwise wrapped around him like a cloak. He carries himself with an air of superiority when in this shape. Very cool description. And like I said, you get 2 pages of text and a full page piece of art for this character, which I think is really nice. And it's pretty detailed, well written. So I'm pretty sure you're going to have a lot of fun with this. If you want to bring some new villains into your Ravenloft setting, if you want to have some adventures, if you want to experiment with dream encounters, which I think is one of the most interesting things about this book, then all of it is here for you for $4.95 in this book, and I think you should look for it in the links below under Sinister Suspects and give it a click. Next we have the Swanmay the Woodsman. It's an adventure by Bum Lee. It's $4.95 for 31 pages, and it says the Swanmay and the Woodsman is a gothic horror adventure about the tragic tale of a family torn by loss and longing. You and your companions are acquaintances of the woodsman. He and the Swanmay had lived contentedly until the Swanmay vanished on the night their daughter was born, leaving behind her magical robe. 15 years later, the daughter intends to seek out the mother she has never known. As a dark power conspires to entrap the family, what choices will they make? This is a 3-hour adventure for characters of 4th level with guidelines for adjusting the encounters. The adventure can be a starting point or a side quest for any campaign in Ravenloft. So you get new magic items, colorful maps, guidelines for placing the adventure in 10 different domains of dread. So that's nice. There's all those ones described in Van Derchten's Guide to Ravenloft, and this is giving you an opportunity to use a lot of them. Maybe there's some that you haven't even gotten to yet. And it's got a player handout. And so you can see some of the really nice layout here. Easy to read, lots of artwork. Let's look inside. So you get to see 9 of those 31 pages. So it goes through the background, the summary, the adventure hooks. And then you've got flavor text. And part 2. Very cool. Let's go and read a little bit of the beginning here with some of the flavor text. Oops. All right, so your friend, the woodsman, asked you to join him for a drink. You arrive at a noisy establishment full of revelers and travelers, but the woodsman is nowhere to be found. A nearby patron introduces himself as the Illusionist, a tour guide from a famous traveling carnival. He's taking a night off and offers to entertain you while you wait. He says, "Unlike the rest of the crowd here, you have a real soul." So it sounds like an interesting character, the Illusionist. And it talks about how the Illusionist casts prestidigitation and conjures various trinkets. Incredibly, the trinkets do not vanish but persist indefinitely. The Illusionist says that tonight is the eve of a rare lunar conjunction, which empowers illusion magic. The truth is that the carnival from the Shadowfell has arrived in this land, and the unusual effects are the result of its presence. So yeah, you can engage with the carnival, which is one of the domains of dread. And you've got all kinds of stuff in here that you can read and kind of see if it's going to work for you. And I like the layout and how clean and simple and easy it is to read. It makes it easier, especially when you're running an adventure as a DM, because you need to kind of flip back and forth and look at stuff. So when it's really well organized and clean to read, you don't get lost in the page and you can find stuff much more quickly. So I appreciate that. So good job, Bumley. This is a cool title. It's called The Swanmay and the Woodsman. Look for it in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Variant Feat System, Increase Build Diversity and Character Options from GMBF Homebrew, $3.99 for 11 pages. It says we all love feats, but not all feats are created equal. Sometimes it seems that some of the more niche feats are often pushed to the sidelines in favor of the more powerful options. We see a lot of sharpshooters, sentinels, and great weapon masters, but not a lot of actors or keen mind users, which is a shame because they are often really flavorful options that get sidelined in favor of keeping PCs alive. This variant system tries to mitigate this problem. It changes the more potent feats, separates them into different tiers, and gives a lot of options for players to build their characters in a way that is unique to them. There's 82 new and reworked feats, redesigned with a point-buy system in mind. That's very simple to understand, and there's new rules for taking feats, gorgeous and exclusive hand-drawn art. So you get to see 3 of those 11 pages, and it talks about the variant feats, and then it goes into the feats by the tiers. So you go into the 1-point feats first, and let's read a little bit about that. So variant feats, all feats have a certain point prerequisites called feat points. Stronger feats need more points to be learned. Weaker feats let you have more of them or grab a single as detailed below. When you first create your character, you can pick 1 free feat from the 1-point feat tier. Whenever you would gain the ability score improvement feature, you can choose to gain 3 feat points instead. You could also receive 2 feat points and +1 ability score. You can use these points to learn feats. You cannot learn 3 1-point feats on a single level up. All feat points received need to be spent on level up, otherwise they will be lost. So, and it gives you a little chart of how to work that out, and then it goes into actor, athlete, barbed hide, etc. So let's read barbed hide. As a bonus action, you can cause small barbs to protrude all over your body or cause them to retract. For 1 minute at the start of each of your turns, while the barbs are out, you deal 1d6 piercing damage to any creature grappling you or any creature grappled by you. Also, you deal 1d6 piercing damage to any creature that attacks you with natural weapons while the barbs are out. You can use this feature once per long rest. And that's just one. There's 80 some feats in here, right? So if you're kind of tired of the way feats have been working, you're frustrated how they're maybe feeling OP at your table, or people are only using certain ones, you could try this out. I mean, you could even just try it for one campaign and see how it works. And if you like it, then you can keep going with other campaigns. But I mean, $3.99, 82 feats, pretty good price, I think. So, and it's always nice to have alternate ways of doing stuff that become stale. So check it out under Variant Feat System in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Candlekeep Codex, which is our exclusive discount next Monday. So you want to make sure you're following at Splinterverse on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of those. And at 10 a.m. Pacific time, every Monday, we have an exclusive discount for you that you cannot find anywhere else. So you're going to be able to get a really great deal on the Candlekeep Codex, which is an awesome book from Django Games, next Monday. So I wanted to give you a little sneak peek of the book, and next week's episode, we're going to take a deeper dive and include the link as usual. But you can check it out starting Monday, so only a few days from now if you're watching it on release day. So we've got the Candlekeep Codex, 2 subclasses, 8 spells, 12 magic items, 5 monsters, D100 books, and a new supernatural region table. And it's normally $5.95. It's going to be less than that because we have an exclusive discount for you. So you can, when your players grab a random book, this book has you covered. You can say, oh, well, you grabbed a book called The World Beyond. Its author is 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙤𝙢𝙤. Its language is common, and here's the description. And you can even hand that to your player. If you copy paste it out of the PDF or print it and say, here's the book you grabbed. And there's an arcane library similar to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything in terms of the supernatural region. And lots of other stuff in there for you. So including animated ink, a Tenebran Stalker, the librarian, a swarm of animated books, and a swarm of animated spell books, and a monster called the Intimer. So and I have this book, and I think it's really fun. I've enjoyed reading through it. There's so many neat things in there that work for Candlekeep or any kind of library that you can run into. So like I said, I want to make sure you get the best deal on this book. This year we're doing exclusive discounts on Splinterverse social media channels, so make sure you're following so you can grab that deal on Monday and get the Candlekeep Codex going in your table. All right, well, that's the last thing we're going to cover this week. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, and of course, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or all of the above. And please check out all the titles in the video description. Click those links and support these creators. And remember, if you're watching this on Friday when it was released or soon after, the sale ends on March 13, 2022. It's a massive GM's Day sale. It's on both DM's Guild and DriveThruRPG, and almost every single book is on sale, so it's an amazing deal. You want to go through your wish list, go through the links in these videos, and get those books that you want while you can at good prices. And if you're feeling especially interested in supporting us, there's also 5 books we released last year. Our Feywild Companion for Feywild Fun is over 150 pages, print on demand or digital. Potions Unlocked, over 100 pages, print on demand or digital. Everything ever for potions. And then you got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, Secrets of the Draugr, and of course Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets with so much dragon goodness between its pages. So check those out. They're all linked in the video description. And if you purchase anything on sale or any of our books, of course we're going to get some money to support the channel and our ongoing publishing efforts. So it's greatly appreciated, and we hope you're also supporting all these awesome creators we've covered. I just every week am astonished by the creativity and the thought and the care that's going into these books, and it is a labor of love. So we want to support as many of these creators as we can. I know I purchased a ton of books during this sale, and I've really been enjoying looking through those when I have just a few minutes of free time, which is all I have these days. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support, and until next time, happy adventuring.